Let me get this straight, I don't hate this game, quite the opposite, but there are spells that just make you raise an eyebrow, so let's break them down into 3 categories. Why bother? Mildly infuriating and rage-inducing. Why bother? This tier is made of the options that usually have some great alternatives. So why bother? Poison Boys includes Poison Spray, Ray of Sickness, Stinking Cloud, etc. The spells aren't necessarily terrible, but all poison stuff has one problem in D&D. Do you know what it is? There are a lot of immunities and resistances to that specific damage type. Undead? Immune. Constructs? Immune. Elementals? You guess it, they don't care about poison. So next time you're thinking of picking a poison spell, consider it twice, and when you decide to use it, just check if there are immunities or not. Barkskin. Next one is Set. This second level spell makes your AC a 16 and requires a concentration. None other bonuses can apply. The idea is for Druid to put it on himself and jump into the wild shape, because the basic AC of the beast is just too low. Smart idea, but in the melee rage it is so easy to lose concentration, and the bonus itself just isn't too impactful, especially if you are playing on Tactician. Perhaps a far more sensible option would be to go for a Mage Armor, a spell that doesn't require concentration and is one level lower. As I said, Barkskin has a rather sad history. In previous editions it provided an effect that stuck with other armor class bonuses, but by the time the 5th edition of D&D rolled around, it received substantial nerfs and is now almost never used. Press F to pay respects. Expeditious Retreat. This spell requires a bonus action to cast and slaps on concentration. So if your concentration gets broken, well, tough luck, it's all gone. You could achieve the same effect by simply taking a couple levels in Rogue, which a lot of builds already want to do. So next time you think about increasing your mobility, consider better options like Long Strider, Enhanced Sleep or Misty Step. Mildly infuriating. This tier is made of good spells that suffered from transition into video game media. Dimension Door. Dimension Door is a fantastic spell, but in Baldur's Gate 3 we see something entirely different under the same name. The original Dimension Door allows you to teleport yourself and a friend to any location within a vast range, even to a place you can't see. And that's the main advantage of this spell. You can go from inside a building to a rooftop, or from a rooftop to a basement. What we see in the game is a watered down version of another, 3rd level spell called Thunderstep. It also allows you to teleport yourself and a companion to a point you can see. But after teleportation it deals some decent damage to everyone around the starting point. It's perfect for rescue missions. So in essence, Dimension Door in Baldur's Gate is a downgraded version of a 3rd level spell that we are casting as a 4th level spell. Just a shame we don't have the spell in its full potential and there are no viable alternatives. So I would say use the spell, but know that it should have a much better effect. Polymorph. Polymorph is still not a bad control spell for a single target, as once it affects a creature, it doesn't roll a saving throw against the spell every turn. However, in tabletop D&D this spell offers much more potential and room for creativity. Players can transform each other into various powerful animals.
T-Rex lumbers
morphs into a giant eagle.
Just turns into a golden retriever. And
That's new.
Moreover, in Baldur's Gate a similar mechanic exists with the druid's wild shape. It would be great to see something similar for a polymorph, but for now, at this spell level, there are a lot of potent control options available, such as Confusion or Hold Monster. Phantasmal Force. Now to a really painful one. One of my favorite spells, Phantasmal Force in Baldur's Gate 3, has a really unimaginative design. Maybe because it's difficult to implement all of its glory in computer game. When you compare it to how amazingly powerful it can be in tabletop D&D, you can almost feel psychic damage. Basically, it doesn't deal more damage, but it makes the creature believe in the reality of some illusion. For example, the first time I saw the spell in action, our bard saved a helpless wizard from a furious owlbear by making the creature think a parasite like a headcrab was attached to its face. Or another situation, a player casting Phantasmal Force on a pirate sitting in the crow's nest, making him think the platform is on fire. The result was, let's say, bone-shattering.
The screams get more and more intense before they end with a as this person felt there was no other recourse with the flames gathering around them, and you hear
The truth is, I'm loving this spell almost as much as I love you pressing that sub button, but its version in BG3 just makes me feel sad and rage-inducing. Well, the name says it all, and the first spell is Mage Hand. I couldn't help but scratch my head over this spell design. You see, in D&D it's supposed to be this non-combat magical ability that can manipulate an object, open an unlocked door, retrieve an item from an open container, or... But Larian made the decision to give it combat potential. This is a little bit strong, so let's slap a concentration on it. Still too strong? It seems more balancing is needed. And now you can only use Mage Hand once per short rest. That's right, once per short rest. Why is it even called a cantrip at this point? Cantrips are supposed to be the quick and easy spells, not something that needs a powered up after every use. What's even more puzzling is that this spell in some cases lost its main intended use, object manipulation. Here you can watch me struggle to be clever with an obvious trap. On this bookcase you can clearly see some pushable elements and bloody spikes coming from the floor. You'd think this would be an ideal case for your limited use of Mage Hand. Wrong, it can push a book. This is a literal case of a butthurt DM telling you that you are solving puzzle not in the way he intended. Sad. And to add insult to injury, the Mage Hand can just fly through the bookcase. Ah, such balance, much design. So there you have it, the baffling transformation of Mage Hand from a helpful little assistant to a confused, combat-capable and book-phobic spell. Drumroll, True Strike. True Strike isn't bad, it's worse than bad. Let's dive into why this cantrip deserves a #1 spot in the Hall of Shame for spells. The description tells you to choose a target and spend your action to gain advantage on your next attack, which requires concentration. Here's a recurring theme with these underwhelming spells, they demand concentration. But what happens if you lose that precious concentration? Well, your action goes up in smoke, that's what. And what if your target decides to take a stroll outside the reach of your attack? Sayonara advantage. Now I get it, advantage is a nice thing. Rolling the d20 twice and picking the best result is good. But you know what even more satisfying? Taking that first action to attack and then taking the second action to attack again. Yep, that also 2 d20 rolls. But in this scenario you can hit twice and deal damage twice, and you can even attack 2 different targets if the first one dies. In the world of tabletop D&D there is one situation where True Strike makes sense, the ambush scenario. You point at the target before combat and in the next round you attack them with advantage. But in this game, Larian probably unintentionally messed that up. Casting the spell triggers combat, no more sneaky True Strike ambushes. Sure, you can still find a few limited scenarios where the spell might be used, but most of the time you'd be better off attacking twice and using your concentration on something actually useful, like Bless, which also increases your chances to hit, or Fairy Fire, giving advantage to the whole group. Now that's what I call magic with a purpose. But I think having bad spells in the game is not always bad, it's all a part of the magical journey, you learn and become a better player. And if you are eager to learn more about Baldur's Gate 3, check out this specially prepared playlist, Cast On, my fellow wizards.